In this video, we're going to be checking out the top 5 best low-light cameras in this year. I made this list based on products' features, online popularity, consumers' reviews, brand reputation, prices and more. I've included options for every type of consumer. If you want more information and updated pricing on the products mentioned, be sure to check the links in the description down below. Okay, so let's get started with the video. Number 1, Pentax K3. For those that are searching for low-light cameras and don't have any desire to go through a ton of cash, I have a magnificent alternative that will fulfill all your low-light photography requires, the Ricoh Pentax K3. This camera will convey extraordinary still low-light photography, thus significantly more as you will find in no time flat. At the point when you look at its specs and highlights, you probably won't expect that the Pentax K3 is such a moderate camera. Beginning from the main, the Pentax K3 has a 24-megapixel APS-C size CMOS sensor that consolidates with the local preparing motor that conveys an extraordinary exhibition. The ISO scope of this camera traverses structure 100 to 51200 and it has 9 white equilibrium presets of which every one of them look great. It has a difference distinguish and stage recognize cross-breed self-adjust framework with 27 center focuses and can shoot 8.5 fps in burst shooting mode. As a legitimate fan DSLR, the Pentax K3 looks like it with an incredible ergonomic body that is an aftereffect of the extraordinary weight balance, profound hand grip, and finished thumb grasp. Likewise, this camera is intended for outside, as it is storm and freeze-proof so you can utilize this camera in extraordinary conditions. I ought to likewise make reference to that this camera has some pleasant aficionado-level controls that are natural and convey extraordinary inventive opportunity. During testing, I saw that the Pentax K3 conveyed an extraordinary photography experience, and during the low-light conditions, it substantiated itself incredible and valuable. The metering and white equilibrium execution was superb and it disposed of the commotion sufficiently, at any rate at its cost. So in the event that you need a decent low-light camera without going through a ton of cash, this is it. Number 2, Nikon D750. Coming up next we have the Nikon D750, which is a full outline DSLR camera from the confided-in producer. It is one of the most able models in the market, conveying a presentation near proficient level cameras out there, and the low-light outcomes were essentially outstanding. How about we investigate? The element and particulars rundown of the Nikon D750 is pretty long and enormous, however I will take the central matters from it that is required for low-light execution. Most importantly, this camera has a 24-megapixel full-outline CMOS sensor that works hand-to-hand with the X-Speed 4 picture processor. This camera has a decent ISO range too, one that ranges from 50 to 51200, which is all that anyone could need, and it has 12 white equilibrium presets that function admirably. To oblige all that, it has a differentiation identify, stage distinguish self-adjust framework that has 51 number of center focuses and it does so rapidly. It can likewise shoot 6.5 fps in the burst shooting mode without losing center. Directly after unpacking I saw that this camera feels like it is equipped for withstanding any type of misuse, and checking its development affirms since it has a magnesium compound and carbon fiber blend in its development. It feels tough and it has weatherproofing, while it is still truly light at 840 grams. I ought to likewise express that it has an extraordinary hand grip and ergonomics are its solid suit. The controls are true to form, simple to utilize, yet a ton. They will convey you a lot of innovative control in actuality. During about 14 days of testing, I saw that the Nikon D750 was a monster, conveying sharp pictures with common tone and extraordinary presentation. Going to our central matter, the 91K pixel RGB metering sensor did some amazing things and joined with the plus 5 EV presentation remuneration was practically enough for conveying ideal execution at even high ISO settings. Number 3, Canon EOS 5D Mark III. Coming up next we have another astounding full-outline DSLR, that will convey you an incredible low-light execution at high ISO with overly low commotion, the Canon EOS 5D Mark III. In the event that you know some things session cameras, you may have heard that the Canon EOS 5D arrangement has been truly outstanding, and the Mark III doesn't disillusion. This is a pretty amazing camera that will be sufficient for even proficient picture takers, and just by taking a gander at the spec sheets and highlight show you will perceive what I am letting you know. It is stuffed with a 22MP full outline CMOS sensor that works impeccably with the DIGIC 5+ picture processor. The ISO scope of this monster ranges from 50 to 102,400, and it does everything consummately with the 6 white equilibrium presets. In addition, it has a half-breed contrast identify and stage distinguish self-adjust framework with 61 focuses. It can shoot 6 edges for each second in burst shooting mode, and it does as such with incredible core interest. This astounding camera feels proficient right as it so happens. At the point when you take it in your grasp, it seems like it is good to go, as it has a large number of catches and controls on top of it. It may feel somewhat weighty, yet it comes to shape its rock-solid toughness on account of its magnesium combination and polycarbonate development, which is additionally residue and climate fixed. While it weighs 950 grams in all out, it doesn't tire your hands a great deal on account of its weight appropriation and profound hand grip, which does some amazing things. I figured that this camera would convey an eminent exhibition, however it actually dazzled me despite the fact that I set the bar high. It did some incredible things in each scene as the dynamic reach was too wide and high. The detail maintenance was eminent also, and it conveyed a decent execution even in low light situations, which were exactly what we were searching for. Number 4, Sony A7R3. Coming up next, we have one of the most able mirrorless cameras on the lookout, a genuine monster that has no detriments other than its fair battery life, the Sony A7R3. This camera is truly outstanding. While it is pretty costly, it doesn't have a ton of focal point choices accessible in the event that you need an amazing exhibition. This is it. Like I said, this is one of the most developed cameras you can purchase at the present time, and the spec sheet affirms that. It is pressed with a 42.2 megapixel 35mm full outline Exmor R CMOS sensor, which ponders when joined with the Bion's X picture preparing motor. It can likewise shoot 10 casings for each second at that quality, while as yet keeping center with the brisk hybrid AF framework with 399 focuses, central plane stage recognize, and 425-point contrast distinguish self-adjust focuses. It additionally has a 5-pivot picture adjustment framework with 5.5 stop introduction execution, certainly a monster. Like all mirrorless cameras on the lookout, this one is light and little contrasted with different ones in this rundown. Be that as it may, it feels amazingly premium and significant when you hold it, on account of the magnesium combination development with a load of 657 grams. I ought to likewise express that the hand grip is pretty profound and you get a protected inclination from it. The controls are pretty fascinating, however, conveying an expert degree of imaginative opportunity. The picture quality and the low-light exhibition of this camera is phenomenal, as it has an ISO range that ranges from 50 to 102,400, 15-stop dynamic reach and 14-piece crude shooting that makes this one a little glimpse of heaven. Number 5, Nikon D850. On first spot on the list, we have the unequivocal best camera for low-light photography, the Nikon D850. This camera will do everything from weddings to scene, to activity, thus considerably more. This is one of the most impressive ones I have ever observed. How about we investigate? This camera is pressed with a 45.7 megapixel full outline CMOS sensor that is joined with the Xpeed 5 sensor that conveys an ideal presentation. It has an ISO range that ranges from 32 to 102,400, which is astonishing, and it has 14 white equilibrium presets that will help us in our journey. It likewise has a very groundbreaking 151-point cross-breed self-adjust framework that does ponders with the 7 edges for each subsequent burst shooting mode. This camera is entirely huge, an immense monster frankly, yet on the off chance that you need an expert-level exhibition, you should realize that. This camera has a magnesium composite body with the best climate fixing on the lookout. It might weigh 1,005 grams altogether, however it feels decent in hands with the profound hand grip and pleasant ergonomics. Weight dissemination is incredible, just as it is extraordinary generally speaking. I discovered that the controls are pretty convoluted, yet nothing that will trouble an aficionado. The presentation of the Nikon D850 is excessively amazing, and nobody can contrast in it, at any rate for the low-light exhibition, as it conveys an incredible shooting experience. The commotion wasn't an issue in the high ISO reaches, and generally speaking it is one of my number 1 cameras on the lookout.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you liked the video. If you found the video helpful, please remember to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this in the future. If you have any questions related to these products, you can leave a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I can.